In this video, I'm going to run through my full transformation since I started the end of 2014. I've been in the fitness industry and I've been training properly for 10 years now. And I've gone through the likes of quitting football, having surgeries, 2 on my knee, 1 on my abdominal, and I decided to lift weights. I wanted to get bigger and I made a hell of a lot of mistakes whilst doing this. I used to play football a lot when I was younger, and that was the goal, was to become a footballer. Obviously, I had a lot of injuries along the way, and when I finished uni, I was struggling to know what I wanted to do. After 2 weeks of depression from knowing I'm not going to play football, I literally switched my mindset to I want to be in the best shape possible. I want to be the best personal trainer, and if I'm very skinny, which I was, how the hell are people going to take me seriously? I need to know how it feels to build muscle, to lift weights, and eventually get big and then lose body fat. I decided to get a coach. Now, at the time, I knew nothing about bodybuilding. I knew nothing about the gym, really. I was just relying on speaking to a lot of trainers that were already at the gym. Shortly after I started training, one PT who was in incredible shape, he was like, you should compete one day. And I needed a goal. I was like, I'm going to step on stage one day and we're going to see what happens. After that, I said, I'm so skinny that I'm going to give myself at least 2 years of building muscle. Now, I didn't really know how to do it. All I knew is that I needed to eat loads and I needed to lift weights. I didn't really know about calories in, calories out, how much protein. All I knew is that I was just eating loads. And I put on a lot of muscle in 6 months of training. I was like, wow, things are starting to work. I did that on my own. Then I decided to get a coach. I didn't really know what else to do. Some guy goes, listen, he trains natural athletes and he trains people that take drugs as well. And I was like, well, I'm not going to take drugs, but it's probably better to get a coach that's done both. That was my thought process. I spoke to him over the phone. He was like, yeah, I train both. Started training with him and it was okay. What I was learning along the way during my PT journey is that I wasn't really agreeing with some of the things he was saying. I've played football. I've had coaches, and no matter what they think or what I think of them, I always took it on board and I took the criticism and I was like, I'm going to commit to it no matter what, and we're going to see what happens. Then shortly after, I got a job in a very good gym and became very good friends with some guys that were amazing coaches. One of them was a natural bodybuilding world champion. The other one had competed many, many times and his knowledge was incredible. I was like learning off these guys. I started training with them. They preached flexible dieting, exactly what I wanted because I still had a social life. So I started training with them. They were lifting heavy. And as I was doing this, I was kind of thinking, my gosh, I don't think what I'm doing is really correct. So my coach gave me a high fat diet. And I was thinking at the time, I was like, all right, well, we're going to try it. We might as well try as many different diets as possible. And he gave me a diet plan that was very, very regimented. And during that time, the other PTs were like, man, you need to be on high carbs. You need carbs for training, for lifting heavy, for how full you're going to look. And I kind of knew I was making a mistake, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to compete soon. I have to see it through. I was on a high fat diet. I was on limited carbs. He didn't take into consideration my calories in, calories out. My training was very weird. I wasn't actually lifting heavy, but at the same time, I was doing a lot of repetitions, like a lot of it would be like first set, barbell back squats, 4 sets of 20. And I'm like, wow, as a natural athlete, well, I'm not an athlete anymore, I would say I train, but as a natural athlete at the time, the research is that you want to put your strength work at the very start of the workout. You want to lift as heavy as possible at the start. There's no point leaving your strength work to the end of the sessions because you're going to run out of energy. So that was another thing. I was like, oh my gosh, there was so like, I was like, this guy, I don't think he knows what he's doing at this point. But again, I committed to it. Now, during my first show, I was literally on the lowest carb possible. I'd worked for him for about 6 to 8 months or even a year? I think it was a very long time I did this. And then when it came down to competing, I was like, okay, I'm on higher calories now. What are you going to put me on for my cut for my show? And he goes, listen, we're just going to go back to what you did at the very start when you first joined me. I was like, oh, and the thing is, if you've been doing a building phase for a long time, the idea is that you build up your calories. I've just gone back to the very first calories that I did with him when I first started, when literally I was at the start. Therefore, I lost about a stone in 2 weeks. I competed. I wasn't happy entirely with my final condition. I was very flat. I decided to get rid of him. I thought, you know what? The high fats diet, it's not for me. What happened to me after my show? I literally started binging. I had been on such a regimented diet, following a diet plan. Literally, my breakfast was like 3 eggs, half an avocado, half a grapefruit. I would have 2-3 meals, steak mince or chicken breast with some veg. 1 meal was with sweet potato. 1 meal was with carbs, and then the rest were just meat and veg. And then my last meal was like another 3 eggs and half an avocado. I was so regimented that what that caused was binging. When I came out of that show, because I didn't have a show to focus on, I put on so much weight. I couldn't control my eating. And then I started working with another coach for quite a few years who preached flexible dieting, who understood about my calories, tracking your food. Because the one thing I was jealous of him was that he was able to go out to a restaurant and control himself. Me, on the other hand, would go out to eat and eat everything and feel disgusting. Quickly realized that flexible dieting is the best diet out there. All diets work, but you got to remember, you have to take into consideration the science. The great thing about flexible dieting is that it can apply to anyone. If you don't like too many carbs or you don't fancy them, you can go with low carb. You are tracking your food. Nothing is really off limits. I basically had to go on a recovery diet to basically control my freaking eating and understand that until I'm ready to put certain foods back into my diet, I'm going to have to eliminate it until I can, because I couldn't go out and just have a burger. I couldn't go to my mom's and just have a 1 piece of birthday cake. I had to eliminate these things until I had it under wraps. So my overall diet changed from low carb to high carb. What that did was that it gave me a range of different foods that I can eat. I could have pasta again. I could have rice. I could have potatoes. I could have cereal. I could have more fruit. Therefore, flexible diet and having a diet full of carbohydrates for me is the way forward. Now, depending on what level you're at, that will be a bit different. But for me, the science says it, you can still lose body fat whilst having carbohydrates. We have this stigma. I'm not sure about you gamers, but if you're not active enough and you're eating too much, an overconsumption of calories is what's going to make you put on weight. So therefore, after that, I got into flexible diet. My training completely changed. So I started focusing on weight training. I started focusing on putting the compound movements at the start of my workout. So I started training from 6 days. I used to train 6 days a week. That was way too much. Then I started training 4 to 5 times. It was 5 times I then started training. Now I train about 4 times. My workouts will be high strength workout at the beginning. So my back day would have deadlifts, big compound movement, going for reps of like 5 reps. I follow a program called 5-3-1. So 1 week will be 5 reps, 1 week will be 3 reps, and then my last week will be 5 reps, first set, 3 reps, second set, and then like a PB of minimum 1. And that applied to my leg day, which I would do back squats at the start of the session. That would apply to my chest day, which I would do barbell bench press. And I've been doing that for literally the last 6-7 years. Same protocol, because it works. And remember, you don't have to change too many things. People think you have to change your training program like every 4 weeks because of plateauing. Plateauing happens for a number of reasons. Your calories are too high if you're trying to lose body fat. You're not pushing yourself beyond what you can do. Now, when you're training, you want to push yourself. It doesn't mean do it with bad form. It means you have to push yourself. Completely changed my program. I put on a lot of weight, don't get me wrong. I was enjoying myself too much. I started actually putting on a lot of weight, and I'd never really been big. So I got to my biggest, which you can see on the screen. To be honest, I felt kind of disgusting because I really pushed my weight. I got up to my heaviest, which was like 195 pounds. I was really big and I felt very lethargic. My food kind of went downhill at this point because I was having pizza on the weekend because I knew I was going to cut for another show. Personally, I wanted to get as big as possible because I wanted to know how it felt. The problem is, when I did my 3rd show, so I did my first 2 shows in 2017, then end of 2018, I did my 2nd show, and my physique was incredible. It was so different, and I was having a shitload of carbs in this diet. The problem is, though, the only problem I had with this diet is that I gave myself 19 weeks to lose 30 pounds, and that was way too much. So me and my coach, we kind of made a mistake. We kind of let myself get too big, and then I didn't have a lot of time. Think about it. In my 2019 show, where I just looked incredibly, like when I looked my best, I won those pro shows, I became world champion. I gave myself 20 weeks to lose 20 pounds. And in 2018, I had 30 pounds to lose in 19 weeks. The problem with losing that much weight is that, first of all, you're going to feel the effects of the diet because I felt so damn hungry. I had to do so much cardio to get the calorie expenditure so I can make sure I make weight. And it was super hard. Yes, I was doing flexible diet, but I had so much more work to do. I did very well in that show, although the rebound was not too bad. I was still very, very tired and I had a kind of a bad rebound. By 2019, I'd literally carried on training how I did. I got my calories super high and I was eating very good. I had the best relationship with food during that 2018 to the start of my cut of 2019. And even after that. So when it came down to losing body fat in 2019, I had less weight to lose in more time. Therefore, it was something like half a pound a week, which was nothing. What did that do? It means I didn't feel the effects of losing body fat, not until like literally the last month. And even then, I was still having the same foods. I was still having ketchup in my diet. I was still having cereal. Yes, I had to track everything, weigh everything. I literally got into the stage and I was like 4.2% body fat on the DEXA scan. People will see these pictures and videos and think, oh, yeah, but he's definitely on drugs. I didn't take anything. I'd never have. And when I say to people that, yeah, I didn't take anything, I've got no reason to lie. I've always been about honesty when I've been in this fitness industry. So people can take it or leave it. I'm not really there to debate. You have to remember that even though I look shredded at that time, I did not stay that shredded. I am not I can't even really see my abs now. I was only in that condition for show day. I cannot maintain that. They think you feel amazing. And honestly, I felt like shit. So when I got shredded, that is when literally my hair started not growing. That's why I kind of saw that my hair wasn't growing. I lost a bit of strength. I definitely lost a bit of strength. I started getting more tired when even going for a walk to my local shopping center. Oh my gosh, people don't realize when you're low body fat, your feet are cold, you feel cold, all you do is think about food, your libido goes down. I couldn't think of anything else apart from food. That is the weird thing about when you get super shredded. The more muscle you have, the leaner you look. I know that sounds pretty stupid, but you hold muscle well. Like now, if I tense, people think, oh my God, you're so lean. I've got a lot of body fat. The thing about after the show, when I was 4% body fat, I literally had to put on about 15 pounds to get healthy again. After that show, I tried to stay lean. It was during like the lockdowns. I tried to stay lean. And what did I notice? I noticed my hair wasn't growing back. That's when I really noticed I needed a hair transplant. I felt my strength go because I wasn't giving myself the calories. So I was just always tired and I was always bloated as well. But my goals have changed. So yes, I look back at my photos sometimes and I'm like, I look so much better back then. Yes, I do. But at the same time, I think, what do I do now? I train 4 days a week for my physical and mental health. I want to keep looking good, which I feel like I do. I want to keep my strength, which I am, and I need to build it up after I had a slight injury. I'm also a YouTuber. I do have my gaming channel and I love playing games. So my priority is to build the YouTube now. When it comes to people asking me, oh, can I achieve that? Can I do that? You have to look at what's achievable and how hard do you want to work. If I ask myself now, should I do another show and get super shredded? I can't. And I say I can't, I could, but I really don't freaking want to because my goal is I want to play games. I want to help my clients get into the best shape possible. I want to live my life. I want to go out to eat. So I don't want to do that. It depends on how hard you want to work. Can you live a sustainable life and be lean? Still enjoy yourself? Yes, you can, but it takes a lot of education, how food works, how flexible dieting works. So there's a process to go through. Yes, I don't look like that now. Do I want to look like that? There's a difference from wanting something and actually doing something. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being super shredded. Am I going to want to put the work in? No, because it was so freaking hard. Now I want to kind of maybe lose a bit of weight, lose a little bit of fat in the new year, continue eating well, build some strength, and continue building these YouTube channels. Now, this video is just an overview of my journey. I know it's kind of more like a skim through of my journey. I wanted to just explain what my journey was like in the fitness industry the last 10 years. And now I'm still focusing on getting my steps in. I'm still going to the gym and I'm still continuing to play games. As you can see behind me, I'm a massive gamer. So what do you want to see next from these fitness videos? I'm going to look to do more workout videos next, but I want to know your thoughts. Even if you watch this and don't comment, I advise you to comment so I can get the feedback.